All right, welcome. So today we're going to talk about decluttering, photos, negative slides, everything that kind of comes under that banner. Talk about how to work through that process. So that is usually something that most people find difficult and know where to start. And so I have got a few ideas that may be able to help you with that, whether you're in the process, because I know some of you have started the process, or whether you need to revisit, or whether you need to double down. So if you've got a lot that need to work through and double down, hopefully what I've got to share with you today will make that process a bit easier and quicker. All right, so the first thing I want to speak about is there are ways that you can minimize the bulk, the actual tangible bulk, down into digital form with all of that. There is ways that you can scan slides, negatives, and photos. So it's not just paper things that you can scan. You can actually get little scanners for negatives. You feed the negatives through and it scans so that you condense it down into digital form, and then you can remove the actual tangible items. In saying that, if you've got a lot, like some of you have got a lot of those things, it's going to take a while to actually scan that all in. And I suppose you ideally would like to remove as many as you can before you sit down and do that. So if you have got ways to borrow, or, it's a good idea to put the word out and say, has anybody got a scanner? If you don't have one, a negative scanner, whatever, and you never know, your friends might have one that you can borrow and work through your stuff. Rather than buy it and have another item in your home. So that is one way to reduce it down to digital form. Kathleen asked about this, and she was helping a friend with us, and then I noticed a lot of the group jumped in and said, yes, I need help with that. So it's obviously a common thing that we all need to deal with. And for myself, it was something that I put off until the last, it's one of those I'll get to because it appears to be something smaller than the big stuff you want to move on. So you get to it last, and we to know that it's going to take a while. So, time management mentality can slip in, and then we think, well, that's a huge mountain to climb time-wise, so I'll put off onto later. But like with most things, you just chip away at it and you'll get through it. So I will go back to photos. I'll just talk about photos. You can apply it to negatives or slides in the same context, but we'll just talk about photos just for a minute. I would advise you to start even initially with a stack of photos. Don't look at the whole pile that you've got, just with a stack of photos, and try this approach. Try and move through that stack as quickly as you can, removing everything that's blurred or repeats. I think a lot of us, I know with my photos, it was common when I was getting photos developed that it was only like $3 extra or something to have that second set of photos. And so, $3, I'll get 2 sets and I'll give one to somebody or whatever. So a lot of us have 2 of the same shot in a photo. So straight away, you can get rid of your doubles, your duplicates, and your all the blurred, photos, heads chopped off, all that sort of stuff. So that's a no-brainer. You don't have to kind of think about that too much. You just can move through that stack pretty quickly and make a little bit of a dent in it, or a lot, depending on how much you've got. So the next thing is people you don't remember. Like, there were people in your photos you've taken, you've been to a party or something, and that, there were people you're around that they might have been work colleagues or something, and people that are not in your life anymore, that aren't important to you anymore. And just get rid of all of those, or photos of people that, if you're saving your photos for family members, if they're not important to the family members, you can move them on too, because they're not going to remember. And you've got to think about, do you want to spend the time marking all those photos so the next person knows about it, and do they really even care? So you can actually have conversations with your family if you're thinking about saving some of your photos for family, and sit down with them, or even, and have them over for dinner and go through memory lane with them and go through the photos and see what they want straight up and pass them over. Or get some kind of idea what matters to them, because our memories are not other people's memories. Our special moments aren't particularly other people's special moments. So we can have a different filter of what's important and what they might want to keep and what they don't want to keep. So people in the photos, you can go through that stack again. If there's people in that photo that and moving forward going to be something you need to hang on to, you can let that go as well. I would recommend you let go of any photos that cause you unnecessary pain. Now, we're going to want to hang on to, say, our parents have died, or somebody that we love and we cherish. We're going to want to hang on to some memories of those. So I'm not talking about that kind of loss. I'm talking about, maybe relationships that went sour and were once wonderful and went sour. And when you look at those photos, they just, they don't do your heart any good. I would, recommend you consider letting those go too. And because they can't keep re-hurting you if they're not there. So it's a good idea to purge those and protect your heart from experiencing that all over again. With special memories, with people, I think it's a great idea to think about, when you're going through your photos, think about the best of what you've got. If you've got a lot to get through, sometimes you can reverse engineer and go through and just pull out all the favorites, all the very favorites, allocate a space to it. So say you've got 10 tubs of photos and you want to condense it down to 2, that space is that's the space you're allocating to it. Well, obviously you're going to have to move on the rest. I would suggest that if it works for you, to go through it and pull out your very favorites first. You can always go back and revisit your pile and add more, right? But pull or have a second wave and go through and just pull out your best of your best, and work through. And that technique works well for, say, books. Like if you're like me, I just love my books and bookshelf of books. But I don't have enough life in me to read them all. So I don't have that much time. So I have to go through my books and go, okay, which are the ones I really, really want to read? I still really, really want to read. The ones I won't reread, and pull them out, fill my bookcase or bookcases, however big the space you've got, until it's got no room left, and then the rest have to go. So it forces you to decide what really does matter, because you do only have so much time to spend on these things. And the activity of revisiting photos, the activity of reading books, you do only have so much time. So we need to kind of get a more realistic view on that, because we can collect it, and so we've got all this choice. But the choices don't necessarily inspire us to go pick up those books. They just overwhelm us. So, and it's the same with photos. With photos, you're more likely to treasure and revisit 100 memories, like 100 photos, than you are those special 100 photos mixed in thousands. Like if you've got thousands of photos and those special ones are mixed in, you're just not going to spend hours upon hours upon hours going through to go, oh, I remember that. That's, you know, that's precious. That, you know, I love looking at this photo, because you won't get it. You just won't do it. So having to shrink your the amount down, you're virtually like a gallery. Now, a lot of people here are creative and will relate to the gallery scenario. When you go into the gallery and you pay your ticket to go into a nice gallery, you want to see the works that really interest you the most. You want to see the works that inspire and you know, light you up. And photos are the same. You want to revisit, have the opportunity of revisiting it and having that experience again, those good experiences or those memories again. But if they're lost in the crowd, you won't do it. And if they're curated, like a gallery curates images to a select amount, you'll be able to revisit that and re-experience that as many times as you want, and you're more likely to do that. So when you're looking at these things, put yourself in the mind of a curator, not even a declutterer, a curator. You're choosing the things that are special, that are beautiful, that just light you up, the things you'll know. And I'm not talking about picking things up and does this give me joy? Because everything gives me joy. So if I picked up everything and everything gave me joy, I could keep it all. So you want but you know yourself, the stuff that really lights you up. But if you kind of switch your mind over as a curator, that word itself explains how you can just select very carefully and put things together. So you can downsize these things quicker, going down that, you know, favorites list, thinking of curating them. And you're able to, you know, some people, like, it depends on you. So you can try that way, or you can try sifting through them, like I said, do a pile at a time, the way I said. So the process of the pile at a time: blurred, chopped off heads, duplicates. Obviously, you know, you don't have to think about it. Get rid of them first. Then the places, the people that don't matter, off they go. And then you're left with a smaller task to sit down and curate. So, and when you do a few little piles like that, you'll get into a swing of it. So you'll be able to move through going, okay, this goes first, that goes next, and that goes next. So you start with the easiest to the most difficult. And the most difficult is curating. And with images of places, we've all got photos of different places and holidays and places we've been. I'll be honest with you, I've gone through photos before and going, I don't even remember I was there. Like, I don't even know where that was. Obviously they don't have to stay. So I would even before you tackle photos and that, sit down and go, where were the places that I have been that were really special? And it might be a honeymoon, it might be, you know, like it could be a particular holiday with the kids, it could be anything. But where were those special moments, and write them down as the places that perhaps you might want to hang on to and curate some around those locations. So it's almost like the same technique of putting everything in a box. Like if I was to empty out a room and stick them all in boxes and then go, okay, what do I remember that I have that I need? It would be a small portion of what was there. And with your photos, if you start already with those memories, you'll know very, very quickly the most important moments in your life and the most important people, and you'll know to target that before the others, before everything else, to make sure you've curated for that. Then you know you've covered that base. So that's already sorted out in your head. So yeah, so with the places you can do that, and then you've got, say you have 200 places that you could have, like, taken 1,000 photos. I mean, with digital too, it can go on and on and on. But you might have taken, say, 200 photos of one place. Then I would choose the most special moments in that holiday, or again, go for curating something that represents the holidays and the memory of that holiday and illustrates it. So it's like you're writing a story with your images. What pictures out of these 200, can I pick, half a dozen out of this 200 that represents that holiday and the highlights of that holiday. So again, you're narrowing it right down to what matters the most, what mattered the most, and what you'd still like to remember. So does that make sense? I know you can't speak, but I'm seeing nods. That's good. Yeah. So okay, yeah. So it's focus on the curating. Now, when I mention the process of sifting through these things, negatives are trickier. We know that it's a bit hard to see what that is. You could set up a light box. You can get a piece of glass and put a lamp under it and just pop all the negatives down, a big sheet, and then pull them out like that. You could try that. Or you could just, scan them. But, I know somebody mentioned before they had 4 boxes of them. So it's just, if you've got the negatives, and have you got the negatives and the photos? Because if you've got the photos, or are you trying to keep just the negatives to make the right, curate the photos from the negatives? So it just depends on what approach you're going, why you're keeping them. Because if you've got the photos, you may not need the negatives, because you can always scan a photo in to share it with your family and share duplicates around, if you've still got the photos. So the negatives can go, and then just like 4 boxes gone. So if you think you've kept the favorite photos, or all the photos that you would need out of those negatives, which most people do, they could be coming from another family member, but so then you would have to sift through them if it's that important to you. But we really do need to think of, we've only got so much time, how many times we've revisited it, and how much do I really want to remember. So going back to those, which are the memories that I want to try and locate. Maybe I could find the packet that had the holiday when we went to Tasmania. Like, some of them might be marked, or you might be able to open up enough to kind of look at and see, oh, that was Tassie, okay, and then go through that and go, oh, I've got that, like they're safe, I've got those, I know that I can make photos out of that or scan them, and then just represent, oh no, that's okay, that's that, so that's one approach to dealing with those negatives. I do want to talk about this because I've never seen this spoken about in regard to this topic for decluttering. A lot of us are artists. A lot of us use photos as reference, which that's where my bulk is. Like, I can see Kathleen go, yes, yes. And like, we could do really cool paintings out of that. We don't want to, like, I don't want to let go a potential painting. But again, how much time have we got to paint all those paintings and go through all those references? Like, we could be painting instead of fossicking through the references. And what can happen, which I have found, and I learned this actually when I did a design course, that if you go through looking for reference too long, it actually mentally tires you out, and you've just got nothing left for the painting. So when you're selecting, and I try and do this myself, if I ever use any of my references, I give myself about 5-10 minutes max to go through, and I've got to pick it in that time, because if I don't, I feel like I've done the day's work already, going through all the photos and making those decisions, and, you know, is this one better, all the rest of it. And you just get caught up in the decision of what reference to use before you even get going. So to condense it down, it's helpful for you as a creative, and to curate that, you need to be curating the best results in your artwork. So be fussy for yourself, like just going like, do I really want this? You know, that's like, for instance, okay, I want to do tree paintings, say, or paintings with trees in it. It's like, that's average, bad light. You know, that one's got great light, that's great contrast. I'll keep that. I'll keep that. Now I've got 5 of them on different angles. Which is the best angle? I'll keep that one. And you can curate them down like that. And in saying that, I have to go through mine to do that myself, but I know how to do it. I just haven't got there. So that is something that nobody ever talks about with photos, with artists, that, you know, and we have, that's part of our equipment. So it's, yeah, but we don't have time to paint 3,562 photos. So I just pulled that out of my head, but you know what I mean. So the curating from the start is a fast and furious approach if you have to downsize quick. But you can go in from the other end if you want to take a slower pace. But photos are like paperwork. They can take time, but you do get into a flow. So, this is what I want to talk about. This is something that a lot of people fall into. With your photos, if you've got a lot of family photos or been given the family photos, sometimes you can feel a responsibility to be the family's historian. So I would say, if you are even thinking like that, I would ask you, is that actually something you want to do? Is that a responsibility and a time that you want to do? Like, do you want to spend that time doing that? Because it's a big job. That is a really intensive, time-consuming responsibility. So if you realistically don't have to do that, you could be going on with your creative time instead of doing that. And if there's someone else that might be saying, oh, it'd be good to do the family tree or whatever, pass it over. Just say, that's a great idea. Here you go. I think you'd be awesome at that. So you could pass it over to someone else. But, you know, sometimes we have these things in our life because once upon a time it was really cool to scrapbook, or once upon a time it was really good to do the family tree, or once upon a time it was a good idea to do X, Y, and Z. But that's not the season we're in, and that's not the time we have, and that's not our priorities. And so we have to stop and ask ourselves, is that really something I want to do? Am I going to just keep putting that thing off because I don't really want to do it? I'd much rather be doing something else. So then I'm just storing it. So when we ask those honest questions, sometimes we get the answer, no, it's actually not something I want to do. It was something that was used to be done, but I don't think anybody really cares. You know, it's cool, I guess, to have a family tree or whatever, but that's not my jam. It might be your jam. So then go for it and, you know, spend the time on doing that. But for a lot of people, it's not. They just want to keep their, you know, photos of their kids and, you know, all the immediate close people to them, and they don't really care about who came a century before them. So that is something to think about as well. So I'm going to turn everyone back on so we can have a chat, and you can just let me know how that went for you. And if there's any questions that came up, Kathy, is there anything that came up for you? Any questions?
I think a suggestion. My husband has put all our photos on Google Photos.
Oh, yes.
So that has really helped, so that at any point in time, everything's there.
Yes, back them up.
But and that's made me a lot more particular about what I keep or what I don't, because I don't want to clog that up.
Yeah.
And I'm much more ready to throw things out.
Yes. Oh, and something I didn't mention is you can get these super duper hard, that hold a lot, and you can put them all in a plastic container, airtight container. And if you've got all your photos and your memories on here, you can have just a box, a small box with it all in there. And if there's any emergency, you can grab and go. They're really quick to grab and go, because they hold a lot. So you can scan them all into there, and it avoids down the track paying for online, because I'm sure as we go along, these kind of services will switch from free to not so free, and then we have to deal with it online. And you've got to be careful when you put up onto the cloud, you're not reducing your quality right down to, if you want to bring them back down and scan them. And sometimes they make it difficult for you to bring it back down. So
we've actually got both, and
you're freezing, I think.
Okay, can you hear me?
For the
a little I've got a scanner for negatives.
Because I've got lots of negatives.
Rescan everything because he thinks it's not really the best quality, but I've had it for years, but it does scan photos. So
and if you want
love
to, you just set it up in front of the TV or something and just do it while you're watching TV, or so it's not not a dedicated time. You're just while you're just sitting there scanning them in while you're watching TV. Someone else have any questions?
So are you suggesting we throw all the paper ones away and just digitalize it? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying if you want to. If you keep the paper ones, if you want to keep I have
keep the very good ones.
Curate them. Yes. Yeah. I mean, if you want to hang on to stuff that's not so important, you could digitize that if you still want to keep it, and just keep, what we're trying to do is reduce the stuff, the tangible items. So you curate the very best, and then so that you will look at them and revisit them. And the ones that aren't so much, that you still want to hang on to, perhaps scan them in and have them out of sight. But you'll still be able to enjoy the favorites and actually revisit them.
Okay. Yeah.
Boys, did you have any questions?
Oh, Andy, when I moved house a few times over the years, I nearly always end up ripping up photos because of the old ones, paper ones that we used to take. They're all digital nowadays.
Yeah.
I've got like over 1,000, if not more, in my phone, and I just went through my phone on the photo stream and got rid of a whole lot of the photo stream that just, that I've got copies of. I know they'll take it off your ordinary photo list as well, unless you've changed them. You might have one on photo stream, you might take a photo, and then when you adjust it or edit it, that's what I mean, it stays there. So then you can get rid of the photo stream one because you've got the edited version on your other.
We have to decide individually how much space they're going to take up. Like, how much space in my house have I got for that? And how am I going to use that space? Am I going to scan them all onto these hard drives and stick that in a box? Have this little box for my hard copies, or so that I can eventually put it into an album, or we have to make a decision about what kind of space am I going to let this live in, this part of my possessions live in, and then we have to declutter down to that size. So it just forces us to look at what really matters. So how we do it is an individual choice, but there's a lot of options. Like, I've shared a lot of options. But yeah, I do think the curator mindset does help really
Yeah.
be more particular about what is important to us, and it gets us thinking about what was special to us and what really did matter to us and what we want to preserve. So and we're preserving in a way it doesn't get lost amongst everything else.
That could
Yeah.
cut down on a lot of pictures that I have.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I got a few ready to give to a couple of people, but I don't have a scanner, but I just took my digital camera and took a picture of a bunch of them, and it was clear enough for. I mean, the camera makes them bigger.
Yeah. You can use the camera.
I mean, if I've got something, because I like one of them, I thought, well, I might want it as, as a photo reference. But most of them aren't good enough for that.
And there's apps. There's camera, like you can get apps to scan. Just click and scan.
Yeah.
So yeah. So there's two more things I just want to add. And one of them is when you're taking photos on your phone or videos on your phone, something that I do with my phone is I take a photo of my hand up close or a short video of my hand up close when I've offloaded my photos and I still want to keep photos on my phone that I've already offloaded. So technically they're duplicates. So I can go scroll back and see everything from the hand back. I've already got copies of. I can easily safely delete them and not lose anything. But sometimes I like to keep them on my phone for social media or things, different things to remember, like a memory list. And I like to keep them there for a period of time. So that's what I do. And then I know that everything up to there, every photo up to that hand or every video up to the short video of the hand, because you can search for just videos, be looking through your videos. I can go from there back and delete safely. I'm not deleting anything fresh and new that I haven't downloaded onto my hard drive or wherever you save or back up your images or videos. So that's just one tip. The other was to go back to the artist with their reference photos. Just remember, if you curate your reference photos down hard enough, you're going to find at the spur of the moment when you feel like painting and you just want to pull something out to paint, just to warm up or whatever you're doing, you can pull things out so much quickly. Just allocate a few minutes, pull something out, and you're not having to fossick through lots and lots of image like, until you find those right ones. So you are going to save yourself creative time. Not just tiring yourself out before you even get started painting. You're going to save yourself painting time, or creative time. So those are the last two things. I hope that was very helpful for you, and it's almost got me revved up to go and tackle mine again. So happy decluttering, and God bless.